Hello guys, and welcome back to another Tweaker Man video. So in this video, this is the start of the upgrade to the Teac AG-790 receiver. So in this part we're going to be replacing film caps. So these two film caps I've already replaced, and these are 2.2 microfarad. Okay, so we're going to replace 16 electrolytic capacitors with these. Now they're a lot bigger, as you can see, and this circuit board wasn't designed for these. So it's a bit of jiggery pokery that goes on. And once they're all in place as well, we're going to firm them all up by using some black silicone between them all to keep them all together, because you wouldn't want them to move and disrupt the pad underneath. It's very easy for that to happen, even when you're handling it. Now this is just the main board here, and what I'm doing here is I'm marking the area of where the capacitor is, because you don't want to desolder something else by accident. When you've got a big circuit board like this, it's very easy to do that. Now we're using some flux. Now this is great flux, this flux, and we're putting it on the pad and also onto the braid as well. So this is Kingful Total Distribution this is made by, and it's Kingbo. This is a Chinese flux that I picked up. We're cleaning the end of the tip there with our tip cleaner. Just helps, it all aids the process. I mean, the skill in soldering is in yourself, but having all these nice products around you you can use to aid it is always a good thing in my eyes. So here we go, we're going to be desoldering with the braid. Now the reason why I'm not using the solder pump, the desoldering pump, is because the legs have been bent over very slightly, and we want to push the legs up with the soldering iron to make them straight so we can pull it out. Because what tends to happen, you remove all the solder with the soldering braid, but it's still a little bit stuck to the pad because the legs pulled over. And now I'm using a screwdriver to lift up the legs, but this process doesn't work that well, so I go back to just using the soldering iron, getting it under, heating it, and then pushing it up at the same time. There we go, we've got one capacitor out there. Now this actual circuit board isn't badly made. Here we have our JB cap, which is a JFX premium film cap that we're replacing the electrolytics with. These are really reasonably priced. They come in at about 96p each. Convert that in dollars if you're watching this in the US or anywhere else, or euros. So we're going to just slide a piece up, because we don't want one leg exposed, really. We want to cover that up as best we can. So we're just going to push that through. Now, as I say, as we go on with this video, you'll see that these film caps are 10 times the size of the electrolytics that they're replacing. And you can see I bend the legs over again, because it's easier to do that when I turn over the circuit board and the cap is still in its place and it doesn't just fall out the bottom, and I haven't got enough hands to hold that in and do the soldering together. Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat. So here we go. We're soldering this in with a nice curve on the solder. Just a little bit there. Yes. So this video is going to be over a few episodes because there's quite a lot of replacement parts that I need. There we go, that's one electrolytic in there. So now I've moved the video on and we've put in quite a lot. You can see they're all at different angles because you can't get them in together. So then what I do is I add some silicone a bit later in the video. You'll see that. And then it just holds them all together and stops them moving, because you wouldn't want to damage a pad by lifting. You can just do it purely by handling it while you're working on it. So we're putting some more flux on again now. As I say, this flux is quite good. This came from China actually, but it's one of the best ones I've used. Oh, it says Tokyo, Japan, so I must have got that wrong. It's probably come from Japan then. And when I do this build as well, I'll be replacing all the speaker plugs, sockets I should say, and all the RCA. So all these cheap parts on this circuit board are being removed. Now I've had a couple of pelters already saying, why are you wasting your money on cheap rubbish? But I love it, and I really can see myself really improving this. So I'm now removing some electrolytics on here. So the first one is 330 microfarad by 25 volts. Now I've swapped out these for the Toshin Jovial capacitors because I really think these Toshin Jovials are really good. They're a hell of a lot better than these standard electrolytics they put in these days, these like cheapy brands that most mass production audio companies use. There we go, we're getting there slowly. And now we're going to put a bit of flux on there. We've bent the legs back and we're going to be soldering these up. And then we'll be trimming the legs off. And also, I'd always say using the right size solder really helps you. Don't use a really thick solder while you're doing finite electronic work like this, because it just doesn't work. You need to use a very thin one. So this one that I'm using at the moment is around about 0.6 mil. And also I've started just using a wet wipe on removing the flux. I find it works really well. Everybody's got their preference. We all do things differently. That's what you've got to remember when it comes to learning the process of soldering or anything else in life. So here we go, I'm desoldering another electrolytic capacitor. And the idea of this video is to get most of the film caps in, the JFX premium film caps, to replace these electrolytic 2.2 microfarad. But in the process of that, I need to remove a couple of the electrolytics as well, just so I can squeeze the film caps in. As I say, they're a lot larger, as you can see. So I'm still waiting at the moment for some inductors to come from Janssen. I have to pick them up when Hi-Fi Collective tell me they've arrived. And so I can't finish off these Bamboo One speakers that I'm doing at the moment, using the more than short Genie drivers and tweeters. So here we go. That's another one out. I find this really therapeutic. So I don't do this as a job, My job is a furniture restorer. I do very finite stuff with that as well. So when I come to doing this, I find that the skill level that I have within my job suits this quite well. I do reupholstery, French polishing, restoration. I do inlays on tables, quite a lot of finite stuff. So it's like everything, practice makes perfect. So you just, as I say all the time, when you're soldering, get yourself an old soldering, an old circuit board, and just start practicing. Remove a capacitor, then solder it back in until you get you've owned your skill. Because it can all be difficult at first. It's like everything, driving a car or anything. You get in it to begin with, and you think, ooh, but in no time you're on your way. So here we go. I've replaced those. That, and now that one I've had to remove, but for some reason I don't have that. So I've got to put that on the list of the next parts to order. So in the next order, I'll be getting the RCA jacks, and the speaker connections, the binding posts, and there'll be another few more bits that are on the power supply side that I need to get. As I say, I think this is going to be quite good, considering the receiver didn't cost me nothing. It was free. So if it costs, say, $250 in the end to make it, it would probably be a lot better than something I could buy for $250. And this is going in my studio outside. This isn't my main amp, but in effect it will become my main amp, because most of my work is done in a day, and that's why I do most of my listening on a little MIDI system. So this amp is going to be going with a very nice set of speakers that I'm going to produce as well for out there. Not the bamboo ones, these are being used inside. But I've got some really nice drivers and a mid-range driver and the tweeters to build it. I've just got to build another crossover. So here we are, we're desoldering more. I do find the desoldering quite therapeutic. It's just me, I'm sad. Yeah, sometimes you have to put a bit more flux on there as well, because, as I say, don't damage the pad. Well, you can repair it, but it's just a pain. You just want to be able to remove components without damaging pads. And as I say, you can see the way I have to flick the leg up because it's stuck to the back of the pad there. You have to heat it and then sort of flick it up with the soldering iron. It does work quite well. I mean, if you try to just push it up, it would rip the pad off because there's a tiny little bit of solder stuck under the leg there. We're right next to that IC chip you can see there as well. So this video is, this series is going to go on for a while again. It's going to be quicker than the other amp I've done, the Quad Lucid 405, which is still not finished yet, because I've had a few issues with it and I need to sort of think about it and put it to one side. I'm somebody that doesn't rush things. I've rushed things in the past and it just doesn't work. So I tried to take my time on stuff, even if it means you've got to put it to one side for a while. So we're getting there slowly. There we go, another piece of Teflon tube going onto the film cap so we can get it into place. as I say, you'll be able to see that some of these, as you see, some of these are laying down. And the beauty of this is just it's quite a lot of room on this circuit board to be able to do that. If there wasn't, it would be a bit more complicated. You can sort of put them up on stilts, so you might have to use a little bit of Teflon tube to go up the legs, and you can stand them up higher. So here we go, we're putting a bit more flux on. We're going to solder these ones off. So I've got no football at the moment because the season's ended. And my club now is the ninth richest club in the country. And everybody hates us because we used to be Wimbledon. And but our new owner, Farhad Al Ghaniyam, is seriously wealthy, and he's putting a hell of a lot of money into the infrastructure and into the players. But obviously there's only so much you can spend because there's fair play rules that go on. You can only spend 60%, I think it is, of your income on players. And as we don't have a lot of income in the lower leagues, it's like everything. Everybody comes when you're winning, and as soon as you fall on hard times, they don't come. But our old owner didn't have the money to take us where we wanted, and the new owner, he is seriously wealthy, and he wants us to get to the Premier League. So anyway, so we've got those in now. That's quite a nice lot of these. They're on the side. It doesn't matter. I'm going to silicone them in, as I say. It's going to make it very good. So these are the big filter caps on the top you could see there that I've got to replace. So I like to put just a dot where I'm working because I don't make mistakes that way. You don't have to do that. You can do what you want. As I say, everybody's different. I mean, if you look at soldering tutorials on YouTube, everybody's got their own way of doing things, and I just find get a bit of something from everybody, and then you'll be able to do the job really well, like yourself. So here we go. I do like this braid though, as I say. I just find this so much easier than the pump. But as again, it's my preference. It's just everybody's different. Right, so we're getting there slowly. There is 16 of these film caps going in because there's 16 2.2 microfarad by 50 volt electrolytic capacitors on here, but these JFX premium film caps are 250 volts by 2.2. So so the voltage it's got the voltage there. That's fine. So we removed another capacitor there. So these two boards that you can see sticking up there have got the transistors on them that connect to the heatsink. And when I replace the binding posts, you can see there, I'll be using a nice piece of wire to come down into the circuit board opposed to this. It's probably a bit of brass. It's nickel plated brass, which is not the best. And also, if you can see the filter caps there, they've got this adhesive round them to hold them in place. Well, I'll be using some black silicone as like a gasket around the bottom of the filter cap, and then pressing it down onto it. So I'll give it a nice gasket there. Now, some of this can be out of focus a little bit when I'm doing this sort of work, and when I'm soldering. So I do all this filming on my own. There we go, we're putting some more flux on again. We're getting towards the end of this section of this upgrade. Now, I have found this circuit board to be pretty good quality overall. I haven't had one pad lifted. It's all gone on extremely well. I find Cambridge Audio to have the worst circuit boards. Everything I've worked on, as soon as I work on a Cambridge Audio, the pad comes off. As soon as you try to desolder it, even with braid, with the flux, it all just... I don't really touch them too much. I try to avoid upgrading anything Cambridge Audio if I was you, because I don't know what it is. I mean, it's all to do with cost cutting, but this is a Teac. Now, this is Japanese, but it's got a far better circuit board than any Cambridge Audio one has. And I think the old Cambridge Audio stuff is okay, but this modern stuff they've started to do is pretty ropey. It's probably all right when it's new, but as soon as you try to remove a part and replace it, it just the pad disintegrates. There we go. So we've got that one in place. I'm going to solder that off now. Bit of flux. As I say, when you've got the right solder size on electronic, on small stuff, start on a 0.4, you can go up to around about 0.6 in my experience. So now we've got 12 of these film caps fitted in, and now what we're going to be using is this black silicone I'm using. It's an auto seal, and you can use it for sealing around your gasket on your windows on your car if it leaks. But this stuff's really good. And I'll also be using this as a gasket around on the bamboo ones before I put the drivers in place. Okay, I won't be using any foam. I'll just be using purely a bead of this around, because it will help with vibration control as well. So as you can see, I'm just filling in all the gaps because it will stop them from moving about. It will keep them all nice in place, because they're like all over the place. As I say, you wouldn't be able to get these all in standing up, not in this position. But this works fine. It's totally fine to do it this way. I've used this method in the past. There we go. Once this all dries off, it should it'll cure within I don't know 24 hours. Best to leave stuff. It's not a massive amount of silicone I'm putting on now. I'm just putting enough to hold them together. Just spread it all around. This isn't from a silicone gun, you see. This is just a tube that I'm holding. It's only a small tube, so it doesn't spurt out as much as a mastic gun would. You can use a mastic gun if you wanted, but this way I think is the easiest way to use it on stuff like this, because you can sort of it doesn't come out that much, so you can squeeze it hard and then just put enough on for what you need. It's not going to ooze out everywhere, because that's what you don't want. So we're getting there now. So we're coming to the end of this episode of the upgrade to the Teac AG-790 receiver. And then in the next video we'll be carrying on replacing electrolytic capacitors. So here we can see we've put 12 of these in so far. I think it's gone very well. I'm really pleased with the outcome. So there you go. Counting them all up. Okay, so another nice project. I do love doing these projects. They're really good. So so I think it's that for this video. So all I've got to say now is thanks for watching another Tweaker Man video. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to give this video a like, and don't forget to press the notification bell so you're notified each time I upload